Everybody on Instagram, I'm excited to be here. Facebook, we're live. No TikTok today. We took the day off. So, everybody, let me know where you're from. I'm excited to be here every Tuesday, 2 p.m. We're here to answer all your questions. I want to start off by saying I truly appreciate everybody's question. We picked 7 to start with. If you have anything that you want answered during the live presentation, go for it. If you see it in Memorex, put it in the comment section. I will get to you. So we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, YouTube, and the like. So let's get to some of the questions. It's a nice way to start the conversation off. A daily habit that boosts your health. Well, there's a boatload of things that you can do to start your health. So I wanted to pick about something that really was interesting, something that was easy. And, you've heard me last week say no more ultra processed food. So I don't want to be repetitive. How about just as simple as drink some water, drink enough water. So the question is how much water, how often? I don't want to drink too much water because I don't want to, use the lavatory too much. I get it. So at least half your body weight in water, excluding from exercise. So if you're a 200-pound person, 100 pounds of water. Now, interesting, if you exercise, you're going to have to drink during the process of exercise. So for every 10 minutes of exercise, you should be drinking about 6 ounces of water. So do your math, add it to it. So if you don't want to run to the bathroom all the time, try not to consume more than 8 to 10 ounces of water at any one slurp. So don't forget about that. So water is a great place. You know what? Let's try another one. Jim Rome said, health is wealth. I agree with him. So just understand that health is wealth. Understand that healthy food can taste really good. I had a beautiful dinner with some good friends on Friday night. We actually ate out. There were 5 of us. It was my wife, my mother-in-law, and a couple. We had a great meal. They were able to cook it with olive oil in the restaurant at a very low flame. The food was outstanding. It was Moroccan food. I was able to dine out with a very good friend of mine, a mentor friend of mine, on Saturday night, and his longstanding girlfriend. Again, there are 5 of us, and we were able to have sushi. Now, for the bulk of us, really didn't have sushi per se. We had sashimi and we had non-rice rolls. So there's a good way of, again, eating out, enjoying. Health is wealth, mission, purpose, of course, community, socializing, and the like. So again, if you have any questions, feel free. I can see them on my screen. I've got my whole team there. Let me know where you're from. A beginner's guide to intermittent fasting. I mean, a beginner's guide. We could be here all day talking about intermittent fasting. So let's start with the beginner's guide. Every week we talk about some form of intermittent fasting. So a beginner's guide is real simple. Intermittent fasting refers, or time restrictive eating, refers to the idea of fasting and eating during a day, or fasting and feeding. So my goal would be to have somebody fast 12 to 16 hours during the day, not eat. I would then have you eat anywhere from 8 to 12-hour window. Cut that window down. Here's some basic keys to intermittent fasting success. Number 1, don't eat in the first hour when you wake up, but do eat breakfast. Break fast means eat in the morning as far as I'm concerned. Number 2, don't eat within 3 hours of the time that you go to sleep. You don't want to go to bed with a full stomach. You do those 2 things, you're probably going to be real strong on starting on a good, effective intermittent fast routine. The third one, the benefits of transitioning to a plant-based diet. So let's have some definitions. Plant-based means, you're basically a vegan. Plant forward means that you eat a lot of plants, but you're sort of like Tom Brady, eat 20% proteins. I'm a plant forward type of person. I'm not plant-based. However, plant-based, I gave some really good notes. There are some benefits to plant-based. Number 1, lower intakes of saturated fat, cholesterol, and animal protein. We could argue that, but that's some of the benefits to start with. Number 2, vegetarians, plant-based, have a lower likelihood of being obese or suffering from chronic medical disorders such as hypertension, diabetes type 2, coronary heart disease, cancer, and all-cause deaths from traditional diets. Now, let's just get a good starting point. The Standard American Diet, we talk about it every week. Its acronym is SAD. Anything you do other than the Standard American Diet is a step up. Plant-based is a big jump up. Vegetarian diets offer other health benefits such as lowering body mass index and typically body composition or body fat, blood pressure, glucose, cholesterol, homocysteine levels, triglycerides, and other inflammatory markers. And lastly, plant-based diets have reduced some cardiovascular factors as well. So I am a plant-based diet fan, but I'm a much bigger fan of plant forward. Garrett here said 18 and 16. For him, 18 hours of a fast, 6 hours of a feed is a great plan for him for his intermittent fasting. Sure, 18 and 6, that's fine. I like a little bit bigger of a window. You've heard me both say that before, in that I like that 8 to 10 hour window of eating so you can get your 3 squares. I want you to be able to get your proper amount of nutrients, your proper amount of protein, because protein is the backbone for muscle mass. Muscle mass is your currency of longevity. It's your stepping stone towards good quality longevity, health span, vitality, etc. So Garrett, I do like 18 and 6, but I do like a bigger window. Detox while fasting, what's your take? I think it's detox via fasting. I'm a big proponent of intermittent fasting through any program being effective. So detoxing is the bifunctionality of modulating your liver and allowing your body to break down fat-soluble toxins into water-soluble toxins. Within that, fasting is a great choice because it does put a great strain on the body, and it's called hormesis, and that hormetic strain is real positive for health outcomes. It leads to heat shock and cold shock proteins. But the bottom line is I do like fasting. I do like detox. What I don't like is a water fast instead of a detox. That's no bueno as far as I'm concerned. What I don't like is a fruit detox. Too much sugar, not enough protein, really will cause the phases of the liver not to work in sync. Got a question here. So Leon is trying to eliminate candida from my gut. Oh boy. From his gut microbiome, along with food sensitivities. Should I avoid fermented foods during this time or just kombucha tea? Wow, that is the question. That's a boulder. It's not a stone. That's a boulder. So candida is a yeast. We all have a yeast, but when yeast grows or there's a yeast overgrowth, it leads us down a very slippery slope of health. Number one, typically if we have too much yeast, we have something called dysbiosis, on the leveling of good and bad bacteria. Dysbiosis can be the backbone of a lot of conditions that come out through our proverbial leaky gut. Now, interestingly enough, candida, you can feed candida because you eat too many carbohydrates and too many sugars. So let's get back to the question. He has food sensitivities. Now, we've all heard me talk about food sensitivities. Full disclosure, I work for KBMO. I think they're the finest in food sensitivity testing. Highly accurate, family-owned business. All those really good things all wrapped up into a nice tight bun. So food sensitivities, you need to address it. You need to remove those food sensitivities for a 90-day period. You need to use specific supplements to help eradicate your overgrowth in candida. I think you should eat fermented foods because fermented foods are a great pre, pro, and postbiotic, especially if they're cooked. I think you would avoid fermented food if you had small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which is very different than having a candida overgrowth. I would avoid the kombucha teas because I see a lot of sugar added in the kombucha tea. So if you make a kombucha tea on your own, great choice. But again, the kombucha teas, even in Whole Foods, which we like and we shop, has sugar added. So we got Marcella. She's from Florida. And basically says, thank you very much, Dr. Rob. My pleasure to be here. Let's get back to the questions here. Organic versus non-organic. I get that question all the time in my office. Why? Because one of the advantages to non-organic is cost. It's much cheaper. Organic can, if you will, be cost prohibitive. So if you were going to have a non-organic fruit, you would want one like a banana if you were choosing to eat that high glycemic index fruit because you can peel away the skin. something like a raspberry, an apple, a strawberry. They're sort of on the list of dirty dozens because you eat the whole fruit with the skin. Organic has more nutrients, more omega-3 fatty acids, and maybe the big takeaway is less toxins, pesticides, bacteria, and the such. So for me, if you can get organic, great. I do not have a problem with non-organic if it's from the farm and the farmer says we keep it in an organic environment. We just can't afford the stamp of organic. Share a glimpse of your workout routine. I am going to do a live video at some point in the future in my home gym or a gym that I go to on the outside. But I do exercise. I do cardiovascular training 3 days a week. I do weight training 3 days a week. There's some flexibility training in there. And in the exercise, I use bands, dumbbells, TRX, kettlebells, machines if I'm outside, and I do use some barbells on occasion. I still actually deadlift my bigger moves or my deadlifts and my farmer's walks. I have limited my flat bench press. 40 years of trying to do it, got a little beat up, which I knew then, what I know now. So let me share with you. There's nothing wrong with a bench press, but it's not that functional for true strength, deadlifts, squats, Olympic lifts. Kettlebells, what a beautiful, I wish I learned kettlebells 40 years ago as opposed to how to bench and do overhead presses. And could you explain, this is exciting for me, could you explain functional medicine benefits or the theory of functional medicine? It has transformed how many doctors think and approach patient care because its idea is embedded in the concept of root cause resolution. So many times we go to practitioners, both alternative and medical, and they're very locked into treating the symptoms. This allows you to take those symptoms, feed into the systems. There's 12 to 14 systems in the body to get to root cause resolution, to really unveil and try to unravel what's going on the surface. So if you could, close your eyes and envision a tree with the branches. So looking at the tree and looking at the branches is really looking at sickness and symptoms. Looking in the soil, digging in and bringing the soil up would be like bringing up the needed understanding and the needed testing to allow to get to root cause resolution. So every Tuesday, as always, we'll be on here at 2 o'clock. We're trying to keep it 15 to 20 minutes, answer 8 to 10 questions. If you missed it live, I know it was a short span of window. Please feel free to ask a question. We will answer it. Instagram, all my Facebook groups. Next week, send some laser questions in. Love to answer them. I'm Dr. Rob Silverman. Always yours at home.